Ramon Abbas grew up in Nigeria. Early in his career, he started off by selling secondhand clothes. Pretty humble beginnings. But somewhere along the lines, he decided to rebrand himself. He changed his name to Ray Hushpuppi on Instagram. And by the year 2020, he had over 2 million people following his account. Every single post was a flex. Private jets, helicopters, yachts. In photos, he stands in front of Bentleys and Ferraris. Hashtag all mine, hashtag blessed. His Snapchat username was Billionaire Gucci Master. On one of his captions, he said, "Started out my day having sushi at Nobu in Monte Carlo, then decided to book a helicopter to have facials at the Christian Dior spa in Paris. And then I ended my day having champagne in Gucci." He had hundreds of thousands of likes, thousands of comments. People loved the persona that he put out there. But here's the thing. No one knew how he got his money. Whenever he was asked, his response was business investments. But what were these business investments? Where did the money come from? No one knew the answer. The truth is, every single thing in those photos was bought with stolen money. A myriad of scams funded his lifestyle. He laundered money, moved money through banks in Romania, Bulgaria, Mexico, Hong Kong. He washed, cleaned, and flipped funds to make it all look legit. His specialty was a scam called business email compromise. This is when a bad guy hacks into a company's email account or spoofs a company email account. I'll give you an example of what spoofing is. For example, my email address is john@don'tgetgot.com. A hacker would create a variation of that email. They'd say john@don'tgetgots.com. Do you hear that difference? Instead of don'tgetgot.com, it's now don'tgetgots.com. That subtle change can make a world of difference when you're wiring money back and forth. Okay, so anyway, they would hack into the company email account or spoof the account, like in the example I just gave you, and send a fake wire request to the finance department. When the finance department sees what looks like normal instructions from management, they'd wire the money. Boom, that's it. The money moves, gone, never to be seen again. This isn't incredibly sophisticated, but it happens every single day. Ramon and his group did this successfully so many times. I'll share a couple examples. In January 2019, he and his money launderer from Canada, a man named Galib Alamari, conspired to launder $14.7 million from Malta's bank of Valletta. North Korean hackers did the actual bank hack, but Ramon and Galib were entrusted to handle the cleanup. They funneled the money through accounts in Romania and Bulgaria. And by the time anyone tried to trace it, it was all gone. Another example, in May 2019, that same year, they targeted a professional soccer club in the United Kingdom. They stole millions of pounds. Ramon sent his money launderer information about what banks could work. They were particular about where they sent the money. They steered away from certain banks that were stricter on what would get flagged as suspicious in their system. And another example, later on in that same year, 2019, a busy year for them, they hit a New York law firm. A paralegal at this New York law firm got an email from what looked like Citizens Bank asking about wire instructions for a real estate refinancing. She responded to the email with verification details. But here's the thing. That email address wasn't from Citizens Bank. It was fake. It was Ramon and his crew. So by getting access into the law firm's email account, they saw that this transaction was about to take place, and they saw what bank was financing the deal. The paralegal received a fax with wire instructions. It looked real. She called to confirm, but of course the number that she called was the number that they provided. And of course they confirmed the details. So she ended up wiring $922,000 to a Chase account that Ramon and his crew controlled. So that money's gone. But the FBI didn't catch on to Ramon and his crew until this one situation. A Qatari businessman wanted to get a loan. He needed $15 million to build a school. He was looking for a team to help him process it. This is when Ramon saw an opportunity. Him and his crew created an entire fake website. They posed as bank officials. They created official-looking documents, and they built an entire world to convince this man that his money was being processed correctly. The Qatari businessman believed it, and he sent them $1.1 million as an initial investment. Shortly after that wire, Ramon posted on Instagram that he bought a new watch, a Richard Mille, one of the most expensive watches in the world. He had it hand-delivered to his apartment in Dubai, a gift to himself, a trophy that nobody knew was purchased with fraud money. So at this point, Ramon had expanded way beyond just moving money. He was organizing operations. He was recruiting people. He was directly targeting victims. But there was drama. There was issues building up within his own crew. A guy named Vincent Chibuzo, who was working with Ramon, had a falling out with the crew. Allegedly, Vincent contacted one of their prior victims and told him that Ramon was running a fraud. When Ramon heard about this, he went to a highly decorated deputy commissioner of the Nigerian police force, a man named Kyari. Ramon arranged for Vincent to be arrested and jailed in Nigeria, and he had Kyari oversee it. When Vincent was behind bars, Kyari sent photographs of him, and Ramon wired him money for arranging the arrest. So a senior police official in Nigeria arranging arrest on behalf of a criminal operating out of Dubai. Ramon's fingers of corruption ran deep. Fast forward to June 2020. Dubai police raided his apartment at the Palazzo Versace resort. They arrested him and handed him over to FBI agents. When they searched his place, they found nearly $41 million in cash, 13 luxury cars worth about $7 million, 21 laptops, 47 smartphones, 15 storage devices, all the physical evidence of a criminal empire. The FBI called him one of the most prolific money launderers in the world. Of course, after this, his Instagram account went silent. The man who'd been posting his lavish lifestyle constantly suddenly disappeared from social media. Ramon ended up in a federal detention cell in Los Angeles. And in April 2021, he pled guilty. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, aggravated identity theft. He admitted it all. He also admitted to being part of a broader criminal network coordinating with people across continents. Ramon was sentenced to over 11 years in federal prison. He was ordered to pay $1.7 million in restitution to his victims. Now Ramon sits in a federal prison. The story he created and presented online for millions of people has ended. But the infrastructure he was a part of, the networks, the methods they use, they're still running. It's different people with somewhat different schemes, but it's the same blueprint. The vast majority of BEC attacks aren't sophisticated. They're not hacking into your system. They're tricking you. They're sending an email that looks like it came from your boss or your bank. The sender address is slightly different. It's one letter off. And the requests seem normal. Wire this amount, approve this payment, update these account details. The attacker is counting on the fact that you're busy and that you don't verify, that you'll overlook a detail, and that you trust the sender. The law firm attack that I described earlier is a perfect example of this. The paralegal got an email from what looked like Citizens Bank. She was already expecting an email from Citizens Bank. She overlooked the small details about the sender's name. She called the number to confirm and got her confirmation. Everything checked out because the bad guys knew the process. The FBI recorded $1.7 billion in losses just from BEC scams in 2019 alone. So there's a few ways that you can try to protect yourself. You have to verify independently. If your boss sends you a wire request, don't reply directly to the email. call them back using a number that you know is real. If a bank asks you to confirm information, don't click links in the email, go to their official website or call the official number. You have to add friction to the process, make it harder for the attacker to move fast. They're betting that you won't double check. They're betting that you'll trust what's in front of you. So you have to double check and triple check. I don't think doing this is annoying to anyone, especially when you're dealing with the transfer of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The only thing between you and losing everything is taking 30 seconds to verify. So verify, 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 and don't get got.